everyone, and welcome back to another week of Stags Talk. Well, it's actually two this week because there's just that much to talk about. As always, it's Georgia and Stephen, and today we're actually just going to go through what you guys have made of things so far this preseason and what you expect from the season coming up. So basically, we asked for your predictions for the upcoming season and where you think Stags will realistically finish. I was pleased with the variety of comments that we got, and a real mixed bag, and I think we're just going to fire through them today. So what did you make overall from what we got, and were you pleased with the volume? Because there was way over 100 of people that replied to us.
I think it probably shows the excitement ahead for the season, doesn't it? And just coming on to the comments in particular, most of basically they're kind of going on what we said, aren't they? It's that top 10 finish. Yeah, a lot of hope that it can be a top 6 finish, but certainly it's a minimum top 10. And I think that's on the mark. That it's such a tough league, as we say each week. But when you look at how Stags finish, you look at the squad they've got, the continuity they've got as well. And as I said in my comment piece this week, it's a squad that's very underrated, I think. Across the league, those on the outside don't understand the quality that Stags possess, the versatility that they possess. The results spoke for themselves last season. The challenge, obviously, is to continue that over 46 games now instead of the 23-24 games which Stags did back in the last season that would have got a playoff spot. But it really does show that it's an exciting season ahead with a different focus, a different challenge, and we're so close now to see whether Stags are going to rise to that or not.
Absolutely. So I went through the job of going through the comments and I tallied them up. And yes, as you say, the main response was top 10 or higher. So we've got 30 who said playoffs or promotion, 13 predict in the 7th to 9th bracket, 12 top 10. So then you add the 12 to the others, and that's the vast majority of top 10. Quite a few said they'd be happy with mid-table or the top half of the table. And 5 said they would be happy with just survival, just another year of surviving the league.
Well, the 2 points I found interesting, or the 2 comments I'd say, and very interesting and insightful ones, is the reference to Stevenage. And if Stevenage, with all due respect to them, of their size, can compete like they did on the budget that they did against the League One big boys and still finish in the top 6, then there's no reason whatsoever why Mansfield cannot do that. And Lincoln, the season before that, I don't know where exactly it was off the top of my head, but they were mid-table, nowhere near sort of where they are now, what happened last season. So it's about building. If Stags finished 8th, it'd probably still be a good season because it's progress, as long as then they follow on the next season. It's a stepping stone, but you have to be aiming for the top 6, whether you achieve it or not, and it's a realistic aim to follow in the footsteps of those 2 clubs.
Definitely. I think Lincoln is a story that many can look up to. And obviously Stevenage, a lot of people have said they don't fancy them coming anywhere near that, yourself included, time round. And yeah, we're just going to go through the comments that some of you guys have left for us. And they're all honestly really interesting. It's been great to read through them. So we've got Stuart Harrington, who said, it's Mansfield we're talking about. Could be a relegation battle or pushing for top 6. Anyone watching them long enough should know this. And yeah, fair enough.
I think something's gone badly wrong this season if they come anywhere near a relegation battle. I mean, of course, you never know. I look back on, I don't know how many seasons ago, 2 or 3 seasons ago, Carlisle United, when they got relegated out of the AFL. They were one of the favourites. They spent big, and everyone's expecting them to challenge for automatic promotion, and it just went so badly wrong for them. So you never know, but can't see it.
Yeah, but it's it can be a tale of 2 sides completely. Stags were really focusing on trying not to slip into the bottom 4, then all of a sudden it's top 10. So let's just hope that's not reversed this time around.
You know what I said, Georgia? Everyone starts from 0.
There it is. And then we have Melvin Priest with the Stevenage comment that you mentioned, and he said, if Stevenage can nearly get playoffs, I'll be disappointed if we're not up there challenging with the squad we have, which is an absolutely fair comment, and I agree, because it does just show that League One, anything can happen, and the way that Stags are naturally progressing, you would think that some sort of challenge like that is on the horizon.
I don't think the continuity side of things is such a massive key. You can't underestimate how the value of having the settled squad. I think Nigel said he kind of post-season debrief and whatever. The first half of the season where Stags went into Boxing Day against Barnsley in the relegation zone, he put that down to having 12 new signings in the summer and the time period it takes to bed the squad together. The second half of the season, the squad had been bedded together and the results were there for all to see. So it's a case of trying to hit the ground running now. It's not going to be a killer factor if you're 13th or whatever after the opening 20 games, whatever. It's not going to kill you, but you do need a decent start to not leave yourself chasing. As we said with Plymouth and Luton last season, not starting well and then putting themselves under pressure. It's the kind of steady continuity, consistency, isn't it? Everyone always says it. The consistent teams are the ones that are going to get where they want to be, and so true.
Definitely. We've got Anthony Schofield who said, and I quite liked this reply to be fair, top 10 perhaps, bit like last season. Just keep building season by season like Lincoln City. Great club, but not ready for the dizzy heights of the Championship yet. We'll get there, but perhaps 3 more seasons building. I think that's very fair because we've said in a couple of shows, is top 6 for now or is it for a couple of seasons' time? Only we'll have to see. But I do think it is more than fair to say after 2-3 seasons, Stags will definitely be up there. It's just whether now is the time or it's a bit too early.
Definitely. That's a bold prediction, that is to say, definitely, because you just never know in football. But yeah, it'd be interesting. We've not had the sort of pre-season pressers just yet, looking ahead to the sort of opening games and whatnot. So it'd be interesting to see what Nigel goes on the record as saying if he does. I think you have to be looking at top 6 as a challenge, but then equally, if you finish 8th or 9th, that's probably the bare minimum that you have progress. If you have progress and you've improved, it would be obviously disappointing not to get a playoff. But I don't see how anyone could be critical because you're taking a step in the right direction, and it's slow but sure. But like I say with Lincoln, it's slow but sure building blocks, and it's not going to happen overnight. The interesting thing of that sort of comment is about Mansfield not being ready, and we'll see what Lincoln do. Perhaps you said the same about Oxford not being ready. I don't know. They had a season before they got relegated. Burton and Albion managed to stay in there for long enough before they got relegated. Unbelievable. I think Burton as a Championship club. Donny have been up there. So there's a lot of teams up there that have been in the Championship that are no better than Mansfield as a club. So there's no reason why Stags can't get in there. So obviously staying in there is a whole different ball game. But that's obviously one to worry about if they did get there. I think off the field there's probably work to be done, which is what the reference is there. It's not just about having a good squad, but it's a shame you can't have a sort of a bit of a bigger ground really. And obviously the new family stands come in, but it doesn't raise the capacity by that much. And for Stags to kick on consistently at Championship level, would need to be much more income coming in than what the Bradfords would provide.
Yeah, there's a lot of that to kind of factor in, isn't there? It's all well and good saying will Stags finish in the top 6 or higher, but there's much more to take into account. But me personally, like I am in the boat of, I think top 10 or above would be the general expectation, and then a top 6 would be the dream. I don't think, or maybe not so many people are demanding top 6 this season. No. I think it seems a realistic target, absolutely. But, are people's heads going to roll because it doesn't happen? No, absolutely not.
No. Everyone dares to dream. It's a big step up. I mean, Oxford United are in a transfer embargo at the moment, and their chairman's been saying how they've had to really adjust to the amount of wages and whatnot, and the costs that come with being at the higher level of the Championship compared to League One. And it's every league is a big step up. But obviously, as you go up the leagues, it becomes an even bigger step, I think, and the gap becomes even bigger than going from League 2 to League 1. League 1's the Championship big, and then Championship to Premier League just huge. But obviously, we're getting ahead of ourselves. It is about building, but you've got to build with the aim, and the aim, obviously, the Championship place for Stags has been on the agenda for years and years and years as a long-term goal from when the Radfords came in. It's not just ticking it over, is it? And we're happy to be in League 1. The ultimate goal is to get Stags to that level, but it's a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of journey to achieve that.
Yes, it is a long road. And then moving on to another quite fair comment from Rob Wilcox, who said, we seem to outperform every year with an underdog mentality, but this year feels there's a bit more expectancy for us to do well because of how we ended last season. I will take 9th or above to keep on improving. I agree with that. I think, anything is improvement, which you've seen under Clough so far. But yes, I do agree that the expectancy is just that little bit higher, because it is, as you say, you dare to dream. You see a glimmer of hope and think, look how well those last 15, 16 games were. Can we push on with that? And then that's obviously where people then start to kind of get their hopes up and could be left disappointed.
It does become when you're looking around the rest of the league, and you're absolutely right with what you're saying, that. But I think it intensifies by the fact that teams, that fans do look at Stevenage and what they did, and they do look at Lincoln and see where they are. Lincoln City were in exactly the same situation Mansfield all those years ago. Was a big team that had fallen hard times, was in the National League as it is now, and they've started that journey of working their way back up. They probably couldn't have dreamt to get to where they are in 60 odd years it is since they've been in the Championship. But if they can do it, why can't we? It's got to be that mentality, hasn't it? But it's an interesting point made there that the expectations are different. And as we've mentioned in previous shows, with the difference in expectation becomes the difference of the pressures that the players have to cope with. And like we've said before, without droning on about it, but when you 75th minute and it's 0-0 and you've got to kick on and get the 3 points, not just settle for one. It's situations like that. I'm really interested to see how Nigel goes about it, of that letting the brakes off, however you want to phrase it, and seeing the results that was there at the end of last season when relegation fears had gone and Stags could relax. And you'd like to think with the attacking additions that Stags go into games with more of a attacking approach and more of an intent to win certain games, more belief that they can win those games because the quality of players has risen. It's going to be fascinating to see this when the season gets underway, just to see how it all plays out.
Definitely. I've made a point. It's funny you mentioned that. We'll get onto that shortly about certain players. But that's what a handful of Stags fans said. But there were several Notts County fans who were really backing Mansfield to do the deed. And quite a few were on our post saying they predicted a playoff challenge. And then Stephen Dallison, who is a Sheffield Wednesday fan, commented on our last video and said, really fancy Stags top 6 finish, especially now you've brought Smithy in. Top penalty taker, 8 out of 8 for us. And that leads me lovely onto if certain players, such as Michael Smith, who is getting a lot of rave reviews, if he is hit with injury or anything like that, is that going to be a massive curveball in the season? Like, are Stags really relying on these players to stay fit?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, it would be a blow if you lose players of that quality, but then equally, Stags have done well last season without those players. I think what it does is you've got a much stronger up top anyway, and more depth up top, more strength and depth, more quality and experience, and all those sort of and different varieties of players. So that if two of them players got injured, it's not like Stags haven't got backups that know what they're doing to come and slot in and continue. I mean, nothing personal, obviously. Will Evans isn't the player that Smith is, but he's still a player that do you a good job and that could rely on. And I think we saw that back in the last season, which is what impressed me so much when I kind of talked about the versatility. It didn't matter who came on, it didn't matter who was injured. When Dead was out, what's going to happen here? There's a little tweak at the back. You get Blake Tracy coming in. Wherever anyone plays, they always came in and they could be 100% relied on. I think it's the same scenario. It's not going to be a killer, but it's a good thing, isn't it? It shows you the quality they've got, the depth that they've got now.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Deji, and he was, for me, he was one of the best players for Stags last season. I mean, not just for me, I think for most people. And when he was out injured, it was a bit of a how are they going to perform, but they were fine, and that's why Stags aren't really interested in bolstering the defence. But there were some comments about fitness and obviously the whole age of players thing, because that study came out and said Mansfield are the oldest club in English professional football, which didn't come as a surprise to many. But, that's a conversation for another day. But so Kev Wells said, if we are immensely lucky and Roberts, I think that's Liam Roberts, and McGoldrick stay fit, second, that's a bold prediction. If not, 12th to 13th. Quite the drop without a solid goalkeeper and McGoldrick. People are worried that, certain injuries might completely derail the season.
Yeah, that comment just beat me to it. Actually, kind of, well, I was going to say that you can kind of any outfield player being being out injured isn't going to be critical. I think if you lost Liam Roberts for any long period, as decent as Lewis is, he's obviously not at that level that Roberts is, and we saw the value of what he did last season. And the old chestnut of keepers worth 10 to 15 points a season, and Roberts certainly was last season. He's one player they definitely couldn't miss. Second is a ball prediction. It's one I can't see any chance of. There's too many clubs that have got far more than what Stags have got. Luton and Leicester for a start. Yeah, it'd be good if it did come off. But let's just focus on maybe Ploughs first. It's the sixth. We would say every week. It's anything from 6th to 10th is where I see it this season.
Yeah, I mean, what magnificent finish, if so. But yeah, as you say, very, very bold. But a similar comment about Liam Roberts. Jeff Fletcher says, not enough for promotion. Mid-table, providing Liam Roberts stays fit. Without him, we are bottom half. You've kind of just brushed on that, but do you agree that's a bit extreme?
Yeah, I think you're understanding it a bit, really. As I said, when you look at the last 24 games of last season, Stags was 5th in the form table. Obviously, no prizes for doing some over 24 games, but it does show that the level that the team are at. I mean, it's all about what points you get, and they did it. We've just got to continue what they have been doing. And I said earlier in the show, being settled makes such a big difference, and I think they're going to hit the ground running. Whether it's going to be good enough at the end of the season, who knows? It's going to be really fine margins this season, and I think they'll be up there. The gap, if Stags do not make the top 6, I think the gap that they failed by this season will be shorter than the gap that they failed by last season. But there can't really be any room for errors. You can't those games that we've drawn on about the 0-0s, the 1-0s, the whatever the points against the lesser teams where it was a lower return than it should have been. Perhaps that's where Stags need to improve.
Yeah, and it's no secret Liam Roberts has been a brilliant signing. It's the reason why he did an almost clean sweep with the Player of the Season awards. And you did see the difference in quality when he wasn't around, because he's the number one for a reason. But that's something that Nigel and the rest of the team will have noticed and gone, look, if for whatever reason we are without our number one, we need to know we can expect similar performances from the backup. The fact they haven't recruited defensively, I assume they'll be working behind the scenes on really tightening what they've got there. And you'd hope that even if the worst does happen, you don't have Liam, the options behind him are enough. But praises on the new signings. So Luke Tomlinson says top 7 prediction. I think that's fair. I think McGoldrick and Smithy are going to be a pleasant surprise. So that's good to see people hyping up the new signings. It definitely beats the Dad's Army walking football comments we see every week. But yeah, it's nice to see that these players are being backed to come in and do the job, because I wrote a piece this week, and McGoldrick's interview, he said, I was brought in to score goals and that's what I'm going to do. So they are both in the mindset of, I'm here to help, and I'm here to help Stags push on. So we can only wait and see how they perform when the proper season starts.
That's it. I mean, it's all about players now. Nigel can do all the preparation in the world, but as I say, once you cross the white line and the touchline, it's down to players. They're going to be so well drilled, and like I say, they've got the ability, they've got the experience. What the players have got that you need, if you're going to be successful, amount of promotion push, it's the heart, it's the togetherness, it's the willingness to sort of dig deep and get stuck in when it's tough going. And I think there were spells last season when Mansfield certainly showed they could do that. They don't sort of sit and feel sorry for themselves. They battle hard and they're there for each other. They're a team, and that's worth a lot of points in itself. It's just the players are there with reputations now. The new signings, it's about delivering now. It's time for talking nearly over, and it's time for doing.
Yeah, they are a very together team. I think that's one big takeaway you can take from this Stag side, is that they do have a very good relationship together. And the last comment that I've highlighted, which I thought was interesting as well, is from Darren Bennett, who says, top half, first half of the season, struggle for fitness and injuries second half, meaning finish just above relegation. can't see it personally, but what do you think, if that was to happen, what do you think that would mean for Stags?
Well, I can't see it happening. There's always pessimistic fans. It's kind of almost touching on this mentality that because Stags have got an older squad, that they're going to be, you know, hit with loads of injuries, and doesn't follow. And it even does. Stags had a lot of injuries last season, didn't they? They went through bad spells because of that. That's what Stags have to avoid this season. Those, you know, there were 2 or 3 streaks last time out, wasn't there, where it was 7 or 8 games without a win, and that's a lot down to do with injuries as well, and not having the depth perhaps. So I think that is being addressed. Time's going to tell, but if Stags did finish in the bottom 6, just to answer your question, it's whether it's ever going to happen. It'd be another rebuild, wouldn't it? I think Nigel's contract up at the end of the season, and then there'd be talk to have about that. But yeah, I think we're talking about something that just isn't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see any sort of danger for Stags this season, but you just don't know. I'm not putting it out there, but I can't see it. I think they'll be absolutely fine. But that was super fun to go through all you guys' comments. We really appreciate it. We'd like to do more. So please do feel free to drop a comment either on our videos or over on Facebook. And there's going to be plenty to talk about, I'm sure. Expecting a new midfielder signing. It's still a bit quiet on that front, but we'll see if anything comes through. And then obviously a very, very exciting and busy season to come. So yeah, we've been Stephen and George. This is Stags Talk, and we will see you guys next week.